Hey up, Neil, I need to go get some coal. No can do, James. They're tearing the tower down, Neil explained. What? Why can't I get coal then? They've set up a replacement station in the sheds. The Fat Controller said he'll explain it all to you guys tonight. James was annoyed, but left to go get some coal. He was curious to see what this was all about. Sure enough, when James backed into the shed that night, the Fat Controller was waiting for him. Today, you engines noticed that Neil was blocking the coal stage. Duck, in addition, you are also blocked from putting trucks in the front yard. Oh, yes, sir. Neil said it's part of a new project. It very much so is, Duck. As you all know, I like efficiency, especially when it comes to our infrastructure. Recently, I closed down Crosby Yards and redesigned the area around Crovan's Gate. However, the biggest waste I've seen is the yards next to Tidmouth Station, as well as this shed. As such, we will be building a new shed complete with a carriage yard and a coaling plant where the old yard once was. It will be a big project, and even with Helen, I think we need a new goods engine. So, I'm loaning a locomotive out for the next few weeks before I purchase one after this project is finished. The engines all looked at each other. A new engine would be a great help. Doc asked the question they were all thinking. What's the loaned engine's name, sir? The Fat Controller coughed uncomfortably. It's best that he reintroduce himself when he arrives tomorrow. And with that, the Fat Controller hurried away, leaving the engines most perplexed. I really hope this isn't one nonsense, Henry. I don't see why the Fat Controller would invite him back.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. Stole many a man's soul of faith. I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure the pilot washed his hands and sealed his face. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guessed my name. But what's puzzling you is the nature of my game. Stuck around St. Petersburg when I saw it was a time for a change. Killed the Tsar and his ministers. Anastasia screamed in vain. I rode a tank, held a generous rank when the blitzkrieg raged and the finest stank. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. I watch with glee while you kings and queens fought for 10 decades for the gods they made. I shouted out, who killed the Kennedys? When after all, it was you
Hello, Soto, I'm back! Helen returned to the sheds that night to find James sitting well outside and Henry and Gordon arguing with the visitor. Well, what's going on over there? That's Alfred, James explained. He was an engine who lived here a long time ago. He left when I arrived. Apparently he doesn't get along with Henry or Gordon. They have good reason to hate each other, Edward added as he drew alongside. However, this is the time for rest. Edward whistled loudly and then backed into the sheds. James and Helen followed him in. The three big engines quickly subsided. I understand the animosity. However, there is a time and a place. Us other engines are trying to get a good night's rest. The three engines said nothing. They just glared at each other. Alfred, is it? Helen ventured cautiously. James said you've been here before. When would that be? Been here? I used to be the pride of the line. Long before this Gordon came, I was the line's premier passenger engine. Me and my pal Croven were on top of the world. We were in charge of the main line, and we pulled the important trains and made sure everything ran like clockwork. But why were you sent away? Asked Duck. Oh, because of a misunderstanding, my dear engine. My friend Croven, he did something truly terrible. I was caught up in it and sent away. I don't blame the fat director, of course. The evidence against me was damning. Misunderstanding my tender, burst out Gordon. You're a conspirator. You're nothing but a coward and a bully, added Henry. And as I've been trying to tell you, I've changed. Bullshit! Enough! Edward shouted. Gordon and Henry, you should be ashamed of yourselves. You're causing a scene. Now everyone, I implore you to go to sleep. If I hear another word out of any of you three, I will be telling the Fat Controller. The three big engines stayed quiet, and one by one the engines drifted off to sleep. The next morning, Duck was shunting at the harbor when Alfred came up next to him. Good morning. If it would be no bother, could you show me where my goods train is? Oh, I haven't gone around to it yet, Duck said, embarrassed. Oh, it's no problem. Take your time. I'm in no rush, Alfred said. Duck was put off by this. Usually the big engines made him hurry, but Alfred just waited quietly in the sunshine. As he passed through the big station, he gave Edward and Duck a hearty whistle. He does seem polite, Duck remarked. Yes, he does. Much different than he used to be. He used to be worse than Gordon, I'll have you know. No way, gasped Duck. I would never have guessed. Edward said no more as he departed the station. Later that day, he was shunting in his yard when Alfred came along with the stopping train. My, this railway has changed since my day, Alfred sighed. I can't believe that this is the same island in some spots. Yes, well, our Fat Controller does value modernization, but he says he'll never replace us steam engines, Edward explained. That's good. I'm glad to hear that one place refuses to let those devil boxes in. Do you work with them often? Edward asked. They're a growing force everywhere, my dear chap. You can't avoid them. Alfred marshaled his train back together and gave a cheery whistle. See you later, Edward. I look forward to catching up. And Alfred left just as Henry was coming in. The two exchanged dirty looks as they passed. Has he been insulting you, Edward? No, not at all. In fact, we were just talking very nicely about the state of the other railway, Edward explained. Don't believe it, Edward. You know what he's like. You know what he's done. Henry snorted off before Edward could reply. He had a lot to think about. Meanwhile, James was making his way down the line with a coal train. Ever since his incident with the fruit train a few months ago, the Fat Controller had made James take the coal runs. At first it was temporary, only for a few weeks to teach James a lesson, but now James had a sneaking suspicion he wouldn't be shaking the runs anytime soon. He arrived at the middle station to find Alfred waiting. "Good day, James, isn't it?" Yes," James said suspiciously. "Gordon told me to stay away from you." "Oh, I understand. Gordon and Henry think I've done a terrible thing. I must admit I wasn't the most well-behaved engine in my youth, but I have changed. You have to live over there now." Alfred shuddered, but then smiled at the red engine. "Take care, James," he said politely. "See ya, Alfred," James replied, confused. That evening, Edward and Duck were making their way to the sheds. Before they reached it, however, they found Alfred making himself comfortable in the dockside shed. "Alfred, what are you doing here?" questioned Edward. "Oh, I don't want to cause a scene, so I thought it would be better if I stayed out here." But Duck started, but Edward cut him off. "I understand," he sympathized and then lowered his voice. "I personally have never agreed with the ruling the railway board made. Unlike the others, I wasn't blinded by your previous behavior." Edward straightened up. "But I do think it's for the best that you sleep over here tonight." "I doubt the gulls will argue with you until midnight." Alfred smiled. "Thank you, Edward. Good night, and good night to you too, Duck." As Edward and Duck resumed their way to the sheds, Edward thought hard about what he could do to sort out this dilemma. He was still thinking about it the next morning as he made his way down with the first train of the day. This run was called the boat train, as it met a ferry bound for Ireland. It only stopped 3 times, once at Thomas's Junction, once at Edward's Junction, and once at the capital station, Suttery. Edward had just arrived at Suttery when he heard a familiar, elderly voice coming from the sidings. "Hello, Edward. Lovely day, isn't it?" "Hello, sir. Hello, Glenn. Out and about today, are we?" Edward asked the former controller and his private engine. "Oh, yes. We are making runs for the vicar. Cows," Glenn explained, gesturing towards the cattle dock. "That's wonderful, gentlemen. Say, sir, I was wondering if you heard the news." "What news would that be, Edward?" "An old acquaintance has returned. You remember Alfred?" The old man's face darkened. Yes, I do," Sir Topham Hatt grunted. "What about him?" "Well, your son has him on until he can get a new engine. Henry and Gordon are not too thrilled. It's causing all sorts of issues." "Alfred seems more polite now, sir. I was just wondering if you'd help me put an end to this feud." The former Fat Controller stroked his chin. "Aren't you sure he's changed?" Well, I'm not. "If you can give me proof he's changed, then I'll help." "Oh, come up to the station a little bit after noon. Charge to put him in charge of the lunchtime commuter." Okay, Edward. I've been wanting to do some killing work up there anyways." Edward beamed as the guard's whistle rang out and the boat train got underway once more. Around 40 past noon, Edward was back at the junction putting away a goods train. Glenn chuntered into the yard with 2 small trucks. "Perfect," Edward exclaimed. "He should be here any minute." No sooner had he spoken when a whistle cut through the air, but it was a whistle all of them recognized. Edward groaned as James swaggered in with the commuter train. "Good morning, Edward. Morning, Glenn. Lovely morning, isn't it, everybody?" "James, what are you doing with this train? I thought Alfred was allowed to do it." "Oh, he had, but he offered to swap it with my coal train. He was rather insistent." Edward stared blankly at the red engine. "No shot. I don't know what you and Henry and Gordon got against him. He seems decent enough." Edward stayed silent as James continued on his way. I'd like to see what he has to say when he gets here, Sir Topham Hatt said. That should be soon, James. Usually, Edward was cut off by a loud whistle. Alfred steamed in with a long train of coal trucks following obediently behind. He quickly shunted a few of them off into the sidings. Sir Topham Hatt walked up to his former engine. Good day, 98462. I heard that you've been allowed back. Oh, yes, sir. Your son was gracious enough to let me visit. Topham ignored this. Why have you swapped trains with James? Oh, he was complaining in the yard about the dirty run. Said all the coal dust spoiled his paint. It made me chuckle, thinking about how I used to say the same. So I offered to swap. I'm used to coal trucks. I see. That is very considerate of you, I think. I hope you only had the best of intentions. The former Fat Controller looked at the disgraced engine. The two stared for what seemed like minutes. Finally, Sir Topham Hatt smiled. I'll be seeing you tonight, Alfred. Sir, does that mean... I'll be hearing both sides out tonight. We will put this all to rest. I want every mainline engine there. Make sure there's no one missing, Edward. Good day, gentlemen. While being rather old, Edward thought the man still commanded authority. So that night, every engine was there except for Winston. I have more important things to do than this nonsense, he muttered as he left. Oh well, everyone who needs to be here is. Good, said Sir Topham Hatt, stepping out of the shadows. When did he get here? Alfred, Henry, and Gordon, this feud has gone on for over 30 years. We will be finishing it here once and for all. What? Silence, Gordon. Sir Topham Hatt stood for a moment, thinking. Sir, Doc said cautiously, maybe it would be best to start at the beginning, just for us new engines. The old man looked at Duck before smiling. I knew my son picked a good one with you. Duck blushed. Very well, at the beginning, Duck. Sir Topham Hatt paused. After the war, my father's engines were very tired. He knew this, of course, and vowed to get extra help. His first move was to loan a big engine to help with the growing main line. That was, of course, Alfred. One of the newest types of locomotives the Northeastern Railway had to offer. As the chief mechanical engineer at the time, I had a front row seat to Alfred's many, many problems. He was by far the strongest engine on the line, something he and his right-hand man, Croven, held over the other engine's heads. It wasn't uncommon for Alfred to fake being sick, to force others to double or even triple head his trains to keep up with his schedule when he just felt insulted. My father hated this behavior, and when Alfred and Croven pulled a similar stunt in the summer of 1921 on a newly arrived Henry, he had had enough. My father stripped them of their names. Everyone referred to them as just their numbers, 98462 and 87546. They were outraged at first, and I don't think Croven ever recovered from the embarrassment. Unlike Alfred, Croven was just a mid-sized mixed traffic engine, and now he just blended into the background. He was notorious for his temper tantrums, and my father usually assigned him to the worst work to teach him a lesson. Alfred, on the other hand, seemed to simmer down. He was the main express engine, and anything he did was in the spotlight. Even when Gordon came around, Alfred stayed silent and took the commuters. But I knew that deep down inside, Alfred was seething from his replacement at the top. As soon as he arrived, Gordon and Alfred butted heads. Yes, I hadn't acted up in years, but you still saw fit to replace me. I see why you did it now, of course. It was the smartest move. But at the time, I was furious. Gordon was shocked by Alfred's words, but Sir Topham Hatt pressed on. Well, your cooling down is why, when it happened, we were all shocked by your seeming complicity in the plot. The plot? Barked James. What happened? Shush! Snapped Edward. Sir Topham Hatt paused, thinking back to that day. It had been a cool morning in the spring of 1925. Trains were running to time, or as close to time, as 87546 had another one of his meltdowns in the middle of the countryside. 98462 had had to sort it out. After his rescue operation, 98462 returned to the big station with some trucks. He waited for one of the coffee pots to shunt them away before going to the cooling tower. When the shunter returned, 98462 was gone, and a long train of dirty goods trucks sat on the line. The coffee pot grumbled, "Must have been 87546. Again." A little bit later, the coffee pot made his way to the station to report a shocking discovery. Sir, there seems to have been some trucks missing from 87546 train." "What kind of trucks?" "Well, there was supposed to be some loaded fuel tankers for the machinery at the harbor, but they weren't on the train. The harbor master is furious." "Oh, I see. Well... But he was interrupted by a panicked whistle as Adam stormed in. Sir, I just saw something truly disturbing." "What did you see?" 87546 and 98462 were running down the main line at a high speed with a bunch of fuel tankers. "That must be... Charles, alert the signalman and the station master. Tell them to shut down the main line. Adam, no time to turn around. We need to go as fast as you can." The two engines hurried off. Adam bucketed down the main line as fast as he could. They rocketed through Thomas's Junction, where the little blue tank engine was shunting together a supply train. But it was already too late. At a point where three tracks became two, 87546 and 98462 sat loudly arguing. Behind them was a smoldering ruin of an old mill building. The fat director could see the small remains of tankers. The two shut up as soon as Adam and the fat director arrived. It was a nightmare as Adam dragged the two engines back to the sheds. The railway board was there to meet with the fat director as well as the police. 98462 knew that he was in deep trouble. "The investigation discovered that 87546 and 98462 had stolen a shipment of flammable material and crashed it into the old mill. Luckily, the mill was closed for the day, but our railway was on the hook for rebuilding it. Given their fall from prestige and bitterness, the railway board guessed it was their goal to smash the tankers into a train. Henry was waiting at the next station, and Golden wasn't that far away either. It was guessed that they were the targets. The railway board agreed to cover the damages without a fight, and to do so we agreed to sell both 87546 and 98462 to the newly formed LNER. Instead, we bought James and brought Sir Alfred Greedy over from the Ormby branch to assist." "You see," Henry snapped, looking at the younger engines. "He's a criminal. He didn't even try to defend himself in front of the investigators." "He tried to kill me and Henry, plain and simple," Gordon added. "I doubt it," voiced Edward, surprising the others. "But Edward, I was there, Henry. Alfred might have done some screwed up stuff before, but I don't think he was the same engine when the incident happened. Sure, he might have been rude and sulky, but a murderer? He seems a much better engine now," added Duck. "I'm not convinced." "I understand the animosity, Gordon. I know I was rude and despicable, but you must believe me. I was never mad enough to kill." "I must implore you engines not to dwell on the past or mysteries. You have a lot of work to do now, without worrying about old grudges." Henry and Gordon exchanged a look. "Fine, we don't forgive you, Alfred, but we do admit we need you." The former fat controller smiled at Edward. The blue engine was most happy that things seemed to be settled. However, he still wished he could find a way to prove that Alfred was innocent. The next morning, Edward made his way with the boat train. He was still thinking about Alfred as he pulled into Thomas's junction. "Hello, Edward. Something on your mind?" the tank engine greeted. "Oh, hello, Thomas. I'm just thinking about Alfred." "Alfred? What about him?" "Well, I don't think he did what he got sent away for," Edward explained. "Oh, I know he didn't. He wouldn't try that and convince 87546 not to do it at the same time." "Yes," Edward said dismissively, and then he jumped. "He did what?" "Oh, yes, it's quite a story." Thomas smirked. Edward looked back at his train, where packages were still being loaded into the luggage coach. "Please tell me." And this was the story Thomas told. At the time, Thomas didn't live on his branch line. He was just helping with an expansion and improving his work with trucks. As such, he didn't see any of the line beyond the first station. He was putting together a supply train when Adam trundled through. Moments later, from the opposite direction, he saw 87546 and 98462. 87546 was attached to 6 tankers. Thomas recognized them at once as fuel tankers. He could hear in the distance 98462 shout, "Don't do it, Crobin, it won't help us." And 87546 returned, "Stop following me, Alfred. It's what needs to be done." Thomas was shocked, but was still in the middle of arranging a supply train. He vowed to follow as soon as he was done, but as the couplings were fastened, Adam stormed through. I assumed Adam had it all under control. It wasn't until later that I heard what had happened. I felt bad, but there was nothing I could do at the time. Why didn't you tell anyone? No one asked me. Besides, I assumed Adam had heard the same thing I had heard. It was just a few weeks before James came and I sort of forgot after that. Thomas, this is huge. You have to let Gordon and Henry know right away. I'll tell Topham. Edward left before Thomas could say any more. Later that day, Thomas made his way to the big station to collect his special coach. He always met Gordon there, and the two had a chance to chat. "Hello, big fella. Lovely day, isn't it?" Gordon just grunted, and Thomas noticed how he was watching Alfred departing with a goods train. "I have something very interesting to tell you about him." "Oh, yeah?" "Yes, you'll never look at yourself the same way again." Gordon rolled his eyes. Thomas recounted his story about seeing the 2 engines, hearing their conversation, and why he hadn't told anyone. Gordon was stunned. "He wasn't trying to join 87546, but stop him?" "Yes, quite noble if you ask me," Thomas added. "Yes," Gordon drifted off for a moment. "Thank you, Thomas. You've given me a lot to think about." "I like to think I'll have the effect of enlightening engines I talk to," Thomas boasted. Annie and Clarabelle snorted. "What?" Gordon left, thinking about Alfred. Could it be possible that he and Henry had been mad at him for something he had never done? It seemed that Gordon would have to have a chat with him the next time they ran into each other. The chance came sooner than he expected. When Gordon arrived at the end of the line, he found Alfred embroiled in an argument with 2 other engines at the sheds. "Face it, Alfred. You're not a Fat Controller's engine. You're just one of us." "I'm a Fat Controller's engine for now," Alfred retorted. "Follow the other one. If you're allowed in these sheds, then I am too." "Oh, no, you're not," Gordon snorted. "Alfred here is a proper engine. He is helping on our railway. He gets to rest in our sheds. Oh, you see, Gordon, Alfred, I don't see you two doing anything, Gordon interjected. Shouldn't you be shunting instead of scheming away into our shed? Clear off before I call the yard master. The two tank engines scuttled away without another word. Alfred was stunned. That was... Oh, they're scared of me and Henry. They scurry off if we yell enough. Alfred was put off by Gordon's friendly tone. Are you sick, Gordon? Almost as bad. I've been talking to Thomas. Oh? Gordon recounted what Thomas said. So, I don't think it's fair to hold a grudge over something that you not only didn't do, but tried to avoid. As for everything before it, well, I can see you've changed. And I think it's about time that I listened to your side of the story. So, Alfred began. Well, I was getting more coal when 87546 clambered into the yard. He had just finished with another one of his temper tantrums. He said it was the last straw. Apparently, the fact director wanted him to help at the waste dump while Whiff had some maintenance. He asked me where you and Henry were. I said Henry should be making his way towards Tidmouth with a passenger train. And without saying anything, he took the fuel tankers off the lead of his train and made his way to the main line with them. I deduced what he was trying to do and gave chase. I tried reasoning with him, but it was no use. I finally caught up to him by the points, but it was too late. I knew what it looked like and took the punishment without a fight. Alfred finished sadly. Oh, Alfred, you shouldn't have had to. I'm sorry, Gordon sympathized. No, Gordon, I'm sorry. I was a temperamental jackass. I was jealous and I'm blinded by my own self-importance. I was disgraceful. Say no more, you were young. I was the same way at that age. You are forgiven. The two engines stood in an awkward silence for a minute. Ever since they had known each other, Gordon and Alfred had clashed. They wouldn't become friends in an instant. When Gordon met Henry later on in the day, he told him all about it. By that night, the three engines stood in the sheds, talking quite amiably with each other and the others. What I still don't understand, inquired James, was why you're so different now, Alfred. Yes, added Edward. When you left, you were still rather ill-tempered and moody. Yes, well, while on Sodor, I believed I was meant to be the pride of the line, the express engine. It was all I knew, as I was sent here just weeks after I was built. However, when I was back on the LNER, I found out what my brothers spent their time doing. For years, I hauled heavy goods trains all across the LNER's network. Before I came here, I hadn't pulled a passenger train since 1936. Oh, it must have humbled you, said Edward. Yes, I found out I wasn't special. Well, you're special here. We're all special here, Duck stated. Alfred smiled at all the Sodor engines. Alfred served diligently for the next few months. He helped build the new sheds and covered extra goods trains the Fat Controller had added on. Finally, the day had come for Alfred to leave. The sheds had been finished and the Fat Controller had procured a new engine. He will be arriving from Scotland in a few weeks, he announced. It was a pleasure working for you, sir. Sir, why can't we just buy Alfred? Oh, as much as I've enjoyed this, I like what I do now. It's where I belong. Yes, but certainly with the diesels... Oh, I'll be fine, my dear engines. We will meet again, I'm sure. And with a cheery whistle, Alfred set off into the gathering sunset, leaving Sodor an innocent engine.